The race for the Senate presidency in the 10th Assembly is gathering momentum as members of the Stability Group, a group of Nigerian senators-elect, rooting for the election of Godswill Akpabio as the president of the 10th Senate on Sunday, said the Akpabio-Barau leadership ticket is the best for the stability of Nigeria. The senators who spoke in Lagos at an interactive session with journalists say the endorsement of Godswill Akpabio and Jibrin Barau for the leadership of the Red Chamber by the ruling All Progressives Congress is for equity, justice, and inclusion. Akpabio, while speaking at the event, said if elected the president of the Senate under him will work assiduously to enhance democracy in Nigeria. Akpabio and his colleagues also paid a courtesy visit to the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Joining us now on the morning show to discuss the 10th National Assembly and the politics of endorsement and electing new principal officers by the ruling party is Adamu Garba II, APC chieftain. Good morning, Adamu Garba II. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Ruben. Okay,
quickly. First, a clarification. Which of the two factions, because Nigeria faces the unfortunate situation whereby ahead of the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly, that National Assembly is already factionalized. You have the pro-Akpabio Stability Group, and then you have the Integrity Group. The Akpabio Group says it has 69 members of the Senate endorsing it. The other group says they have 68 members, that are opposed to the idea of zoning and are insisting on Section 50 of the 1999 Constitution, which says that, the lawmakers shall choose their leaders from among themselves and not succumb to imposition. So where do you stand? Which faction do you belong to? And what are your observations with regard to the latest development?
Thank you for this question, Dr. Ruben. What I want to clarify here is that there are no factions, in the National Assembly contest. There is the party's decision, which is always supreme, that clearly anointed Senator Godswill Akpabio for the office of the Senate President and Senator Barau Jibrin for the office of the Deputy Senate President. And of course, naturally, in democracy, there are some people that will say perhaps maybe certain arrangement did not favor them, and conversation will start, and so many arrangements will be made that will perhaps maybe advance some certain interests for further negotiation in the making of the assembly. But to the best of my knowledge, based on what I know, I was at the media party together with them here in Lagos yesterday, and you can see about 69 senators signed the endorsement of Akpabio-Barau Stability Group. So, and in the interest of national stability, in the interest of national peace and reconciliation, this is actually, the leadership that we need to be able to give the executive arm of government the necessary support and parliamentary dispositions and enacting policies that will help in fulfilling the promise of renewed hope manifesto of President-elect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So, to the best of my knowledge, I think there are no factions, and most of those contesting the decisions of the party are co-members of the party. It is an internal affair, and there will be, I'm sure, conversation will still be ongoing. And by the time the National Assembly is being inaugurated, I'm looking forward to us having up to 85 senators within the Stability Group and endorsing Akpabio and Barau Jibrin. So there are no factions. I want to correct that, and I also want to correct the fact that there are some people that are within the party that disagree with perhaps maybe the zoning arrangement, and they are looking for a way to see that these things can always be recalibrated. And I'm assuring you that by the time we reach towards the end of this month, everything will take shape, and we will have an incoming Senate President who is Senator Godswill Akpabio, and also incoming Deputy Senate President Senator Barau Jibrin, by the grace of God.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Garba. So last week, some senators-elect of the APC met with your national chairman, and they talked about the fact that they hadn't been consulted with before this zoning formula was achieved. And he had said, he apologized, he owned it, and said they would go back to the drawing board and consult. However, this week, it doesn't seem as if the consultation has been had, or perhaps it's been had and we're not aware of that, whereby we're now pushing Senator Godswill Akpabio against the wishes of perhaps some of your senators, including those of the North Central and not even the Northwest zone, who have said that they ought to be, considered for the Senate presidency. What's your take on this, despite the fact that you say that there are no factions? What is the position of the party, especially following the meeting with the chairman of the APC?
I think that the chairman is misunderstood. If you go through the statement that the chairman made, he said that the decisions of the party remain supreme, but the party still gives them opportunity for fair hearing so that their grievances can be aired and they will be heard. But there must be need for wider consultation. That means the consultation is still ongoing and is going to be expanded. I think that's what the chairman said. But of course there are some quotations that is saying that the chairman said they are going back to the drawing board. It's not about going back to the drawing board. It's about the need for wider consultation. And in political terms, when you talk about wider consultation, it means a structure that will contain everybody's interests. That means the pool is going to be expanded so that everybody's interests can be contained. As simple as that. Somebody like me, I have been on the forefront of campaign for the Northwest to take the Senate presidency. I was the principal pusher of Barrow Jibrin's Senate presidency. It's all over the media. But the arrangement of the party is supreme. And the party's decision was full of wisdom in the fact that they honored their promises of building a politics of national performance and the government of national competence. Our target is to ensure that the zone where we have influence, especially the Northwest, is properly accommodated and compensated with the right reward for their contribution to our victory so that we can have subsequent victories. That's the whole thing. And in the wisdom of the party, this thing is properly considered. A deputy Senate president was given to the Northwest, and a Speaker of House of Representatives was also apportioned to the Northwest. So when you look at this, we have succeeded in consolidating the promise of government or politics of national performance. That we believe is an incentive to encourage all other regions in subsequent elections to work harder to perform better, so that we can always, the party can always consider them in any apportioning of positions. A situation whereby we don't incentivize the areas where we have the massive amount of votes. We might not come back to them tomorrow and say, you've given us, we've given you, now we need you more. So this is as simple as that. And that is why we, as loyal party men, me, and our principal and distinguished Senator Barrow Jibrin, completely aligned behind the decision of the party. And the endorsement of President-elect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Why? Because we want national stability. We want everybody to feel represented. We want all organs of government, all regions of the country to be part and parcel within the making of the system. Now we have the Senate President coming from the South-South, Deputy coming from the Northwest, we have Speaker coming from the Northwest, we have Deputy Speaker coming from the Southeast, we have Vice President coming from the Northeast, we have President coming from the Southwest, and we have the National Chairman of the party coming from the North Central. I think this is a very perfect calibration that fit into the national balance, and that is why I love the name that Akpabio Barrow Jibrin campaign chose and termed it as Group for National Stability, or the National Stability Group.
Let's interrogate numbers. I'm a numbers person. In terms of performance, the Northwest has even performed poorly relative to the last election. I'll give you some numbers. Play with them. Kalu, in 2019 elections, had 1 million votes for the APC. Katsina had 1.17 million votes for the APC. Kaduna had 1 million votes. 3 states alone from the Northwest in 2019 gave the APC 3 million votes. This election cycle, total votes from the Northwest, 2.7 million votes. So that's to show you that even performance threshold has dropped. So what are you rewarding? That's number one. Number two, why do you leave the North Central in all of this? Is it the SGF? Because a group was saying you should give Lalong SGF to be able to placate the North Central? So why do you leave the disgruntled part in all of this?
Thank you, Rufai. Let me explain to you, when you look at the situation of the election performance across the country, we're not just limiting it to the Northwest. Across the country, the total number of voter turnouts has reduced. The last election, we have 29 million voters, and this election, we have 25 million voters. So this could be the reason. So a situation whereby you tally everything together in accordance to the zones of contribution, the Northwest still performed creditably well, because the total amount of votes that we got is a replica of everything that we have in the country. So we are just reflecting our realities. This is the outcome of the election. 25 million votes. We got 2.7 million votes from the Northwest, higher than every other zone. The Northwest still gave 30% of the votes. If you go back to the previous election, it's somewhere around 33%. So the difference is not much in percentile value. The only difference is the number of voter turnout reduced drastically, and we have 25 million votes compared to the last election. I believe that is the reflection we are seeing here. The second thing again about North Central, I think among all the equations, in power balancing system, North Central is more sure than the South, Southeast, and even the Northwest. Apart from the president-elect who come from the Southwest and the vice president-elect who come from the Northeast, it's only the North Central that have the national chairman of the party. And we shouldn't be discounting the position of national chairman of the party, because that's a very powerful, credible, influential position within the making of a democratic system. So they already have someone, the national chairman of the party. Maybe in the second round of the reallocations, where you now begin to apportion the principal leadership of the National Assembly and the government structures like the SGA, like the head of service, and some other principal officers within the executive government, then within this distribution again in the second round, maybe they get something. But for now, North Central have something, and that is the national chairman of the party. And the national chairman of, don't forget, distinguished Senator Abdullah Adamu was just nominated. He was just elected as the national chairman of the party during the last convention in 2022. So we shouldn't be saying that they are left out. They are actually at the center. In fact, they are more sure, as I'm saying, than the Northeast. They are more sure than the Northwest, the South, and the Southeast. Why? Because they already have a presiding officer within the political setting of the country. So I think the agitation was just, it's natural within democracy. It's natural people will want to voice their opinion. It's natural they will want to belong. It's natural some of them are negotiating for other judicial committees. It's natural some of them are negotiating some interest within the government. So they come out, aspire for the Senate presidency, so that the conciliation basket can be wider, So perhaps maybe that's what it is. But for now, this country has a more stable structural political leadership than we have ever seen, and I believe all other necessary political calculation to balance the equation has been established, and that is why I say there is a wisdom behind the name of National Stability Group, because to me it's bringing huge stability. Why do I say so? We don't have only the senators of APC endorsing Akpabio Barrow Jibrin's ticket. Yesterday at the media party, we have two senators from the Labour Party that endorse Akpabio Barrow Jibrin ticket. We have a senator from NNPP in Kano endorsing the same ticket. We have a senator from PDP endorsing the same Senate. We have two senators from SDP endorsing the same stability group. What are we waiting for? Okay, it has already been consolidated. We already have a clear incoming Senate President in Senator Godswill Akpabio and the incoming Deputy Senate President in Senator Barrow Jibrin. So I think we just need to consolidate other interests. But this is very clear that the country has taken a shape. There is a considerable trust in the leadership of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu that is bringing every political system in one group so that we can drive a successful government.
Adamu Garba, it is established that you are a supporter of the stability group, because you've been talking about stability. The only stability that we are interested in is stability that will work in the best interest of Nigerians, not a National Assembly that just mounts stability. But let me ask you, now that you have brought up the matter that there are Labour Party members, SDP members in the stability group, what do you know about this allegation that a lot of money is being distributed to ensure this autocracy of the APC in choosing in dictating, imposing the leadership of the 10th National Assembly? What do you know about money flying around? Because at least one senator has said he is part of it because money is being distributed. That's number one. Number two, have you considered the possibility that is also part of this conversation by members of your party, that some of them are prepared to defect and engage in open anti-party activities when the leadership is to be chosen? And that could happen, considering the fact that your party has a narrow majority in both chambers. In the Senate, yes, APC has 59, opposition parties have 50. If some of your members join the opposition parties, then of course you could lose out. In the House of Representatives, the opposition parties have 200 members together. Your party has a total of 160. So are you so sure that this thing has been settled just because a segment of the APC says this is the way it is? But first, let's deal with the money we hear.
Thank you, Dr. Ruben. The issue of money politics, I think we know the angle where money politics is coming from. It's coming from the group that are agitating against the structural arrangement of the party zoning system. I think so it's known, he's on the media. For those that know, I think you can be able to Google to know those that are saying that they will want to buy the senators. But I don't believe a senator will work hard to become distinguished among great citizens of this country and allow himself to be sold cheaply, against the interests, the larger interests of national stability, the larger interests of national growth and development that this assembly is about bringing. I don't think at all that there is any senator that will accept that. But from our team, National Stability Group, nothing of such. There is nothing, absolutely nothing of such. I'm very much aware of that. I'm part of this campaign. I've started from the beginning, and I can tell you that any senator was induced by money. I don't believe Labour senators will follow us for money. I don't believe MMPP senators will follow us for money. I don't believe SDP senators will follow or PDP. These are distinguished men of substance that believes in stability of Nigeria and that are willing to do the right thing for the development of this country. Now, when you go back to the House of Assembly, I think you didn't get the statistics right. We have 178 members, and yes, we need 180 plus 1. And the combination of the opposition have the remaining numbers, about, I think, 178 or so. So when you look at this, yes, we need 180 plus 1, but to the best of my knowledge, I think this is already settled. Why? Because we have so many friendly PDP states. For instance, Port Harcourt is a friendly PDP state. For instance, Oyo is a friendly PDP state. So when you join them together, we may have about maybe even 200. So if we look at it very critically well, you see that this matter has been settled. Honorable Tajuddin Abbas is obviously the next Speaker of the House of Representatives. Our distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio is obviously the next Senate President of the 10th Assembly. So when you look at this, we don't have much of these issues. I think it's been just peddled by the media to just fray nerves and keep giving hope to some people that are thinking that the conflict is giving them opportunity. But to the best of my knowledge, this matter is already settled.
Okay.
And those aggrieved members, as I'm telling you this, that by the time we are reaching to the end of this month, towards the swearing in of the president-elect, everything will align and we will have a very conforming National Assembly.
All right, so what is the status of Senator Orji Uzor Kalu and Senator Yari? Have you been able to reach out to them? Has the party been able to reach out to them? Because as at last information, they maintain, especially with Senator Orji Uzor Kalu, that they are in the race for the Senate presidency. Has there been any agreement? Has there been any bridge to these men?
Yeah, distinguished Senator Uzor Kalu and Senator-elect Yari of Zamfara, all of them are loyal party men, I believe, and that they maintain a very good relationship, especially Senator Uzor Kalu maintain a very healthy relationship with distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio. And I believe they are talking. In fact, yesterday, one of the media person asked him a question about that. And of course, they are reaching out to them. They've been speaking. And I can tell you that they will come around. And in the case of Senator Yari, he knows this is the first time he's coming to the Senate. So there's no way you can be a Senate president when this is the first time they are coming to the Senate. This is the house that is built based on precedents, customs, and practices. And for you to even transit from senator-elect to a senator of the Federal Republic, you have to be inaugurated by the Senate President. So a situation whereby you are just coming, how can you become the Senate President and inaugurate yourself, transition away from senator-elect to the senator to Senate President and then inaugurate yourself? This is going to be a breach of procedure and the practices of the National Assembly, Senate business and rules. So he knows that it's never going to be possible. This is completely out of the National Assembly system. But that's why I tell you that most of these discussions and counter-discussion is part of the normal politics of negotiation for something that is maybe a little bit higher, and it's not a bad deal to negotiate. You have to play your cards very well to get the right positioning so that you can deliver effective service to your people, to your constituency. It's not a bad deal what they are doing, but some of them knew that there is no way they can be Senate President. As I gave you an example with Senator Yari, he can't breach the customs practices and precedents of Senate rules, by becoming the Senate President. It's not possible. You need the Senate President to be inaugurated from senator-elect to senator, and you can't be. So these are the things.
All right, so you're confident that Senator Orji Uzor Kalu will withdraw from the race? Because I
am 100% confident because Senator Orji Uzor Kalu has shown, yes, he's qualified. Nobody's saying that he's not eminently qualified. Of course, although when you are trying to consider the politics of national performance, you will see that the performance from Southeast is considerably very low. Orji Uzor Kalu got 47,000 votes to come back to the Senate, but the entire APC in Abia got 9,000 votes, and that is completely something that should be disincentivized. So, and he should, like these votes we got from Senator Barrow Jibrin, for instance, in Kano North, is almost twice the entire votes we got from the Southeast. So I think he should also find a way to organize the Southeast caucus so that they can mainstream within the APC strongly, in the subsequent election for this kind of negotiation to have very strong footing. That's why I tell you, most of these things are just being pushed for negotiation, but they don't have substance. He's eminently qualified, but the performance, the electoral outcome of his own constituency was considerably low, and if you incentivize failure, you are completely encouraging people that do nothing to be entitled to something, and that is not really encouraging in the kind of democracy and the plans of the future government. Yeah.
So it has now become a politics of number. Now people like Orji Uzor Kalu are not good enough, because if you also want to extrapolate the argument, it will also be best for you to tell me how many votes Akpabio won to be able to pick his own Senate seats. Because if you want to extrapolate it like that, it's also best. Let's deal with numbers and tell me how many votes Akpabio won. Maybe 1 million votes or less than 1 million votes to win its Senate seats. Because some people will say that's part of the unfairness they are saying that is going on. Number one, please tell me how many votes Mr. Akpabio did win to win his Senate seat. Also, what would you people say as regards the likes of the Mwase of this world that feel that, see, I was deputy speaker under Gbajabiamila, and I should stand a strong case in all of this, And concerning the money, Dr. Abati said, you can only speak for yourself. You do not know about other people. So when you say you know that nobody collected money, would likely say, please speak for yourself. Isn't it?
Thank you for the questions. Regarding distinguished Senator Akpabio, he performed excellently well. We got 87,000 votes from his state, from his zone, and nearly the same amount of vote for the president-elect. So it shows a very serious commitment and investment. And we knew that that zone is traditionally a non-APC zone, and the fact that we have even 2 states from the same zone and many senators, and at the same time he performed well for both his election and that of the president-elect is good. And another thing again, his investment in the party. Senator Akpabio came to the Senate under the PDP. He was a minority leader when our principal, the president-elect, approached him to come back to APC. He did. He trusted the APC and came back to APC. And even not just that, he decided to go ahead and become the minister under the APC government, support the government policies and implement and performed very, very well. And the fact that he is aspiring for the office of the Senate President to encourage the principle of equity, fairness in the interest of national stability, considering religious balancing and also, regional balancing, I think is good. I think it's not a bad deal to have a very loyal, committed party man who we know he's unquestionable and that he can deliver the right result. And the issue of Speaker aspirant, Right Honorable Wase, yes, he is a very good person. He has done a very good job. He played critical role in stabilizing the 9th National Assembly, especially the House of Representatives. He supported a lot of the policies of government of the APC, but when you already have the national chairman, it is only fair to allow other zones that have nothing to take something. It's only fair. So that is why I believe it is somehow ill-timed. The aspiration is good anyway. It's encouraging a very good, healthy political conversation, especially in the politics of National Assembly. But I think it is actually a wrong approach. Why? Because we North Central already have someone. And the issue of money politics. Yesterday, as I told you, a media parley was there, very responsible, veteran editors questioned and queried Senator Akpabio and Senator Barrow-Jibrin. And it was very clearly stated that nobody is talking about money. Where the issue of money comes from is from outside the stability group, some of the agitators, and is already in the media, as I told you. But from the stability group perspective, I tell you this, money is not playing any card. Nigeria's interest and Nigeria's desire for success is actually what is driving every member of the stability group. That I can assure you.
Adamu Garba, when we started this program, we introduced you as APC chieftain. And that's who you are. Now, apart from the presidential election petition that is now ongoing at the tribunal, we have also had persons, groups, coming forward saying that, look, the inauguration on May 29 should not take place. They've gone to court. They've filed all kinds of, petitions. Are you worried about that? Maybe before May 29, there could be an injunction that could say, no, there will be no inauguration.
There will be inauguration on the May 29, 2023, and that inauguration will swear in Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and distinguished Senator Kashim Shettima as the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There will be nothing called injunction. Those groups, faceless groups, that emerge out of thin air to go to try to seek for injunction, are just wasting their time, a very serious waste of time. Because this election has been squarely and fairly won. Election process that took place, computerized, transparent for the whole world to see. We have the entire global leaders are attuned to this election. I'm telling you, as I'm telling you now, we have 120 heads of states that indicated interest to participate in the swearing of the incoming president and the incoming vice president. So what are we talking about? When the whole world say yes, some group of people will just emerge from thin air and try to file some, riff-raff kind of court judgment, try to say that they are going to stop the whole world from functioning. That's a huge joke. Okay. Because as I'm telling you here, The whole world is coming to Nigeria on May 29th. The whole world is coming to Nigeria in May 29th to submit to the supremacy of Nigeria's democracy. That's what I'm telling you.
Well, thank you very much, Adamu Garba II. You are not just a member of the Stability Group. You also already know the mind of the courts. Thank you for joining us on The Morning.